So we'll probably wait until about 2:05 and then we will get started. And thank you everybody for coming and who's here. We're gonna wait a few more minutes and then we will get started. Thanks for coming. I'm very excited for everybody to meet Leena. She's amazing and she's one of the kindest people I know, and she's an amazing writer also.
I totally paid her to say all of that.
I'm not paying her anything and she's not paying me anything. We just like each other. This is pretty exciting. We have quite a few people who are interested in doing faceless accounts, obviously, because we're introverts and nobody really wants to be on social media. Unfortunately, it has to happen, but so I'm really excited to have you on and explain how you do your thing, and you do it very well.
Oh, thank you for that. I'm excited to meet everybody also and kind of just talk about what I've been doing.
Yeah. We have a really great group today too. Normally I like to wait a little bit past 5 minutes, but because we have so many people here and because we're doing a transcript and recording, we'll probably start right now, actually. The clock just flipped over. So Leena, are you available? I'm gonna start introducing you and doing all cool things. I just didn't want to.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm
All
ready.
right,
Let's
great.
go.
A little bit about how I met Leena. She was one of the first Instagrammers that I started interacting with, but she was actually doing editing service, and she does her editing service as a faceless account also. And one thing kind of led to another, and we ended up in the same writing group and engagement group. And I've been watching her indie publishing journey basically, I think, since July, when I definitely started hitting it harder in July, and the algorithm just kind of pushed us together, and it's really cool. I've seen her do some really amazing things, I know she's got a ton of ARCs and reviews, which I'll have her talk about because I don't remember the exact numbers. But she's got a ton of reviews. She published in December, which nobody is supposed to do, and she's doing like fantastic. She's developed her own Etsy store. And she's coming out with book two. She's got an amazing amount of engagement on Instagram. I feel like I'm not doing you justice, Leena. Um, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna introduce her right now, and then we'll go ahead and she'll do her thing for about 20 minutes, and we'll do a good question and a response. But she's a romanticy writer. And she's gotten a chance to do a ton of really amazing content, which I can actually show after she does her presentation. If people want to see it, she has a great aesthetic and a great brand that she's collecting to the point where her novel is called The Moon's Daughter. And she even like does the moon as like a check mark instead of anything. So she incorporates all of these themes into how she interacts on social media. I only see her on Instagram because I don't go to TikTok. I tried and I will. It just it didn't work for me right at that point because I didn't have bandwidth. But Leena, go ahead and let us know how long you've been doing social media and what your thought process was, and especially about being a faceless account, because that's really hard to do, especially nowadays.
Mhm.
So I'll let you take it off, and thank you so much for being here, everybody, and Leena, but
Well,
everybody.
thank you. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. I feel like you like hyped me up a lot. And you're too kind. You're too kind because I, like most people, just feel like I'm kind of winging it. And we're all kind of just learning as we go. And if I can, tell you guys what I've done that might help, I'm definitely happy to do so. So, a little bit more about me. I wrote my book completely off social media, completely off Bookstagram. I'd actually never read a proper fantasy romance novel before I wrote it. I had the idea for my book probably about 9 years ago now, and I wrote the first three chapters then. And then, like, life kind of happened, and I forgot about it, and I got married, and I had kids, and it just fell off my radar. And then about a year, probably a year and a half ago now, like I just kept thinking about it and I picked it back up and I finished writing it. And once I was done writing it, I was like, okay, I guess I should try and publish this thing. Um, and I didn't want to go down the route of traditional publishing, just like don't think I had the stomach for rejections. So I was like, I'm just going to self publish. How do I do this? Um, and simultaneously, before I even wrote this book, I've been doing editing on the side from my day job. And so I decided that why not try to do both at the same time because it seemed like a great idea at the time. So I started a social media account on Instagram for my editing services first before I marketed my book at all. I did, it's called LK Editing Services. I really don't post on there anymore just because I'm so busy with my author page, but I did a lot of self editing tips, different types of chapter openings. And that was my first kind of introduction to Bookstagram. I'm doing air quotes. And I had no idea what a massive group it is. Like there's probably millions and millions of Bookstagram accounts and probably the same number of authors. So through this editing page, I met other authors, including the one who actually reached out to me for editing services, who brought me into the writing group where I later met Kara. Well, I had already met her through the editing page, but then we ended up in the same writing group, and I was like, oh, hey, I know you. So that was kind of how I got like my toes wet with social media. And at that point, my book had already been written, and I started now an author Instagram page, which Kara was so nice as to share. I've only been using the author Instagram probably since end of August of last year. And a lot of authors, they have their social media accounts ready before their book is even published. They're like actively posting sneak peeks and like their writing process and writing tips and giving sneak peeks of what they're working on this week or what their struggles are, and they're building their following of interested readers well in advance of even having published their book. So that being said, I felt like I joined social media late, right? Like as an indie author, that's really my only way to promote myself is through social media, unfortunately. um, so because I joined so late, I felt a little bit rushed with the process. If I could go back, like ideally I would have started much sooner, but I didn't. So I joined in August and my book was released in December. So in that time, here's what I did. One thing I think is really important, especially with a faceless account. So I made the decision to be faceless, like for personal reasons. Not all of my family knows that I'm an author, so I just didn't want it to come back to me, and just for privacy reasons. I'm sure everyone can relate. It's hard to be on a camera all the time. Um, is I would say it's really important to have branding, consistent branding. And so that way everyone is going to look like, I feel like if anyone sees the moon and the color gold, they should think of me, because that's all my posts have the same kind of consistent theme. It ties into my book's cover. Um, and even if I introduce covers later that are, different, I think I'm going to keep the black and gold just as my branding. And so even to the point where, like when you like something on Instagram, right, your heart is red. I made my heart yellow just to be closer to gold. Just again, just branding. There's so many authors out there, which is amazing, right? But it's also hard to set yourself apart. So I would say, pick your colors, stick with it, keep consistent things. So when people look at it, they recognize it as you. Otherwise, it might kind of get lost as things are being shared. So that's the first thing, have consistent branding. The other thing that's really, really important for indie authors is advanced readers to whom you will send advanced reader copies, because these are the people who are going to read your book and hopefully review it before your book is even published. And it's the probably the best way to get word out there about your book, because one, you will have reviews lined up on release day, right? That gives you credibility. And also these ARC readers are also posting about it on their own social media, and a lot of them have way bigger followings than I do, and it's just another really good way of getting your book out there is with the ARC readers. So when I went on my art campaign, I did it two ways. One was I reached out to people individually, and I find that readers really like that, where you reach out to them and say, hey, like I noticed, you like reading, fantasy romance novels with XYZ type of characters and tropes. Would you be interested in being an ARC reader for my book? So I got a bunch of people to sign up that way. I also hired a PR company called Inspire Services, and they especially, there's a lot of them now that they're who I use, and I really enjoyed working with them. They have their own list already of ARC readers and street team members, and they did a lot of work for me with that, and it honestly took a lot of pressure off me, because I just felt like I didn't have as much time leading up to my release. So in terms of ARC readers, with in total I had maybe 430 applications. And of those 430 applications, we didn't accept everybody. So Inspire went through and actually vetted everyone for me. They looked at their socials and like what kind of books that they were reading. So like if someone only read horror books, right, they're probably not going to like my fantasy romance novel. So we accepted 280 individuals. Of those 280 individuals, I think maybe 250 of them downloaded the book. I think 30 of them never downloaded the book. And of those, if you check my Goodreads, I have about 180 reviews now. And not all of them were from the ARC. Some of them came in later, but I would say, the percentages are not great, when you look at it, but that it is what it is. So I would always say start with the big number, because not everyone is going to leave a review. Um, that was ARC readers. Another really important part is building up hype for your book. So there are a couple ways you can do that. You can The way I did it is first I did a title reveal, and then I kind of made posts counting down, like, okay, 5 more days and I'm going to reveal the title, 3 more days and I'm going to reveal the title. So title reveal, and then I did a cover reveal post, and you can get people involved and help them. They can help you share, just so you can widen your reach. And then the tropes reveal, which is where you're explaining or you're listing, okay, like for my book, it's forbidden romance, it's slow burn, it's uh, this kind of male character, this kind of female character. And I felt that that post actually got the most traction, and it's probably the best way to find readers who are actually going to be interested in your book. And I actually did paid ads for that. For my tropes reveal post, I think that was the one. I experimented doing paid ads, like boosting on Instagram with a bunch of different posts, and that one by far has gotten me the best traction in terms of followers who hopefully they read the tropes would like my book. The other advice I can give is you have to post consistently. It's sadly the only way, really, to have people remember you, have people know who you are, have people know what your book is about. I was posting almost daily up until my release, and like probably the month after my release, and it got really stressful. And now I do it probably 4 times a week, but I've also built out a street team at this point, and I have probably between 50 and 60 people on there, and they post sporadically um, on there. I see a question came in, Kara.
Got it.
Um, Thank you. Um, Kara also used Inspire, so yeah, we got that.
They're
Um,
actually going to be the next guest speakers in March. So
oh, that's
they'll
awesome.
be talking about their process and everything like that too. So I'm going to send you guys the link to the ARC people right now. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I would say, unfortunately, you just have to be consistent about posting content. Because otherwise, when you do make posts, the algorithm doesn't always push them out. The other things are it's a long list of things that sound really overwhelming, and I was very overwhelmed at the beginning, but things just get done like slowly but surely. So like I have a newsletter now, I have an Etsy shop now, and all these things, they kind of just help build your brand. The other thing that I think that helped the most personally is finding a supportive writing group. And I think it's so important. It's so important because, like, as an author, especially as an indie author, we spend so much time doing everything by ourselves and figuring things out by ourselves. And it's so important to have a good supportive group of people who just want to see you succeed and you want to see them succeed. And we're all at different stages of our writing journeys. And so we bounce ideas off each other. Sometimes we just vent to each other. Maybe someone has experience with something that I don't. I can say, oh, like, how did you set up your Etsy shop? Why did you pick Etsy versus, this other platform? Um, and then there's newer people joining who haven't published their book yet, and I'm able to give them tips too. So it's just been really helpful in that sense. And then, when we have I can be like, oh, like I'm looking for new street team members, and my writer friends will share it with their street teams, and vice versa. I think that just personally, mentally has been such a huge help, and it helps you feel not so alone. And Kara, I'm sure you'd agree.
Absolutely. So when I first published my novel, it wasn't coming through on Amazon, and because I did not publish in KU, and even since Leena had gone through it, I harassed the crap out of her for like 3 days because I was so stressed. And she helped me walk through the process of getting in KU, and I ended up doing KU, but with a different kind of back matter of my novel, just because it wasn't coming in, because I have very strong feelings about Amazon right now because of what they did. But Lena was a huge help, and what's really interesting. I'm sorry, Lena. Like she was saying that she really started in August, and I was sort of like really doing it in January or July, but because of the way that the algorithm works on Instagram, they ended up pushing us together, and we while not everybody in our writing group is on the same path. A lot of the authors are indie authors. They are getting ready to publish. We're roughly the same age. Most of us are moms. So it's really interesting how we found each other as well. Sorry, I didn't mean to
Mhm.
interrupt you, but I got
No,
really
no, you're
excited
good.
about the support is there. It's an amazing group.
Yeah, I totally agree. So that's where I am now. Now I'm getting ready to push out my second book, hopefully in the summer. I'm still having to post like 4 times a week. I'm starting to build up hype by dropping teasers here and there. I'm going to be opening up another round of ARCs and Street Team members. So now that I need ARCs for my second book, I'm kind of limited to people who've read my first book. So I'm opening up another round of ARCs for the first book just to get a wider group, hopefully now, so that maybe the second release can be even bigger than the first one. I've been hosting giveaways. Um, so sometimes I'll do, like, someone will get a signed copy of my book. Sometimes I'll do an Amazon gift card here and there. So that kind of also really helps just building up your following. And if once people are following you, maybe, they'll be interested in your story. And I'm working on building out my newsletter subscribers. I used to think, oh, do I really need a newsletter? It's just like one more thing. But now I kind of like it. I send it out monthly and I get to kind of just put my updates of what I'm working on, what's going on with my book. And the people who read your newsletter, not everybody opens it, obviously, but the people who do, like, you really have a kind of like a direct line to them, a direct connection to them. And it's really meaningful. I would say that, they actually want to hear from me. So I am kind of enjoying that. I'm building that out now, always looking for new ideas to put in. Um, so yeah, that was all that I had prepared, but happy to answer any questions. Carrie, I think you had some. I don't know if anybody else has any questions.
Really quick, can you explain to everybody what a street team does? I feel like everybody knows, but sort of explain like what your street team does for you personally, because they've done some really cool things for Leena also.
Yes. So your street team should be people who love you, who love your book, who just want to hype you up, basically. And um, I started my street team after I sent my ARC applications out. Actually, no, that's a lie. I did a couple different rounds. I did one short round of applications and I got like maybe 10 people, and I basically just took everybody before my book was released. And then I did another round after my ARCs had gone out. And then I got people who read my book as ARC readers and loved my book. And so what they do for me is I have a Discord channel with them now where we communicate 2 ways, through the Instagram group chat that I have for them and the Discord channel. I'm trying to migrate us more to the Discord just because I find it a easier way to disseminate a lot of information. So what they do is when I post something, if they're online, I ask that they share it so their followers also see it, or try and comment, engage, help boost the algorithm. Some of them will make their own content. I know some authors, they have monthly posting requirements where they'll require that to stay on the team you have to make a post like 1 time per month. I don't have that, just because I want to keep it like low stress. But they do generally, like, sometimes they'll make their own posts. I've made pre-made posts and captions that they can just download and upload it. So they do that. And sometimes they do giveaways with them. I have one street team member who has a blind date with a book business. So I did a giveaway with her where she was giving away a blind date with a book to the winner. And so it was good publicity for me. It was good publicity for her. I had another street team member who liked to make jewelry, and she was like, oh, like, why don't we do a giveaway? Like, I'll make a custom jewelry set for the Moon's Daughter. And so she made this bracelet and like necklace set that was black and gold, and it was very cute. She took nice pictures of it, and we did a giveaway for that. And now that I'm gearing up for book 2, I'm asking a little bit more of them, posting more. Since I'm posting more frequently, right? They have to share my content more frequently. Um, and just as an incentive for them to be on my street team, I try to do a monthly giveaway with them where, like, um, I'll randomly pick 2 people and they'll get like a $10 Amazon gift card each, and they get sneak peeks of my art. So when I commission character art, they're the first people who see it. I'll even show them like I'll ask them like, are there any scenes from the book that you would want to see as art and get ideas from them. Now that I'm writing book two, I'm dropping sneak peeks in as I'm editing into the Discord. So they are kind of just like my my hype crew who I turn to sometimes like when I have questions about something. So it's a fun group. Definitely. Um, oh, and when you send out arcs and you have an arc form, this is I learned this after the fact. I find it really helpful at the bottom. You can put after they fill out, you know, the questions for the arc, you can say, would you like to sign up for my newsletter? And then you can start building out your newsletter subscribers early on, like right when, you know, you're sending out your ARC applications.
Something that Lena did too. I was on her ARC team. I think I still am, but I am not on the street team because I don't have that bandwidth right now. But something that Lena did that I sort of took from what she was doing is she just gave everybody the links to all of the places that they could review the moon's daughter, like in an email. She's like, here, I put it in your face, you don't have to look anywhere, bam. And it was super easy, and I think that that really helped also. So they didn't have to go looking around for
Mhm.
it. Not that it's hard online, but unfortunately making things as easy as possible for everyone uh,
Yeah.
heightens the opportunity for those things. And what's really cool about the street team, and Lena, you can sort of shift this into what it actually is that the street team members who did the jewelry giveaway and who did the blind date with the book, did that cost you much or anything, or was it sort of like a, hey, I want to do this for you, and it was just like extra, it was like a bonus, right?
It was just like yeah, it was just like a bonus. Like the one with the blind date with the book, I didn't pay anything, but it got her a ton new followers for her business. So she was really happy about that. And with the jewelry, she was actually trying to get into the business of making custom jewelry for authors who wanted to give things like jewelry to their street team, and so it was good publicity for her also.
And so Lena has a ton of engagement on her website or on her Instagram. But I'll go ahead and share. But do you guys want to see her Instagram page first, or would you like to start asking questions?
Oh, and I do have a question. The street team member who was making jewelry for books, is she still doing that?
That's a great question. I can ask her. She hasn't posted about it in a while, and I know she just moved recently, but I can totally ask her, or I can drop her contact information if you'd be interested.
And thank you so much. It was just a really exciting idea.
It
Yeah,
is.
it was really everyone really liked it. It was very very new for me too.
Um, thank you, Melissa, too. Adrian, go ahead.
Yeah, so I know you're, for lack of a better word, anonymous on like Instagram and to your readers. Are you anonymous with your street team and ARC and like every behind the scenes as well?
Yes, yes. Not that I don't trust them. It's just I feel like you know, you don't want someone to by accident, you know, say, "Oh, like Lena's real name is this," and you know, so on. Just I'm anonymous everywhere.
Just a quick follow-up. When you say anonymous, is that just like your real name or like showing your face or how anonymous are you? Like, or is it different levels?
So Lena Kazak is a pen name. It's not my real name, and I don't post my face anywhere either.
She did an author spotlight with me, and she showed her the cover of her book. She had a beautiful setting of her book up instead of a headshot. She and I talked on Instagram to prep for this call, and she just had her Instagram logo up. So I don't even know what she looks like, and I think that it's very intentional, and it's also a part of being consistent. the one thing that marketing will always tell you is you have to show your face to do well. And Leena is kind of showing that she's consistent and she is doing well. And it's something to really think about how you want to present yourself to the world, or as who you are as an indie author too. But like I think I had said it earlier, so I'm sorry if I repeat myself. Even her editing services are anonymous. Like she's got her logo, but she's got all kinds of authors reaching out to her now to edit because we know her so well.
I also want to, so for me personally, yeah, so if I'm doing any kind of author spotlight instead of my face, like I'll send my logo and it hasn't been an issue, or like I'll send even like character art. There was one podcast that I was like, oh, like, can I keep my camera off or can I use my logo? And they said, unfortunately, they do want the camera to be on. And I said, at this time, I'm not ready for that. But I can call out another author who's way more successful than me. I'm doing actually an anthology with her. Her name's Briar Bolin. She's also a faceless author. If anybody is really interested in going down that route, and she's like a bestseller. She's an indie author, bestseller, and she doesn't show her face either. She just uses her logo. So it's definitely doable. It's definitely doable. It's harder. I won't say it doesn't make it harder. It does, because then I have to think about things like book signings. Like I could do a lot of book signings, but then I have to I have to go in person. So I'm not doing that yet. It's something I need to think about. But for now, I don't think it's for me.
I'm sorry, what was her name again?
Briar Bolin.
You share her link with me. I just wrote the wrong name. Can you show her link with me? Or can you share her link with the group, Leena?
Yes, let me pull it up now.
And one of the really cool things that Lena's doing, instead of doing in-person signings at this point, she does do an Etsy store where she signs the books, and she gives a whole, like, she has all of these different merch. There's all the merch that she gives away. But what's really cool is she'll integrate that into Instagram. So what she does is she'll sort of, do her thing, and then she'll videotape her hands, and she'll talk on the thing, but she'll show that, like, packing a book box up and stuff, to still engage the readers that way as well. So it's a really interesting, it's a really creative and interesting way to do that. And a lot of other faceless accounts, they'll still show their body. Like I have a one mom who doesn't want to show her kids, but she always just shows their feet, the whole family's feet walking together, instead of showing their face and stuff. So the possibilities are endless for this. Does anybody have any more questions right now? I can go ahead and share my screen and show you Lena's Instagram, and you guys can see or ask questions about that. All right. I'm going to try this and we will see, because Zoom has been goofy. And I feel like it just told me that it's only going to show you this spreadsheet. Can you see the Instagram screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. So where are you at, Lena? This is Lena's logo right here. It's all gold and black, like she was talking about. And then for fantasy, it's a really, really big thing to do character art. I'm starting to see it with romance now too. if your genre isn't fantasy, I would definitely check out other people. And you can do this across the board because TikTok is sort of the same kind of way. So I would say that that's safe doing that. But research people who are in your genre, because maybe, like I see this starting in romance where there are character arcs. We have friends who are doing thrillers. They're starting to do character art. So it could be an interesting thing to start doing. But it is also like something to just keep your page interesting and exciting and give you new content with minimal effort. So that's one thing that I really try to put because it gets frustrating sometimes. But this is the character art that she had just had. You can see she has her tropes right up on the page. And all three of these are pinned to create basically a banner. So you can also see when you click on something like this, she has the caption and it all has the tropes. It has a really short blurb and she's got her little moon there that she works with, the moon and the stars. So here's one of she just posted this today. So she's asking them if she wants to be a permanent book reader. So these are slides. This isn't even a reel, so that could really be easy to create. She's got 22 comments right now, 148. And Leena, would you post it like 3 or 4 hours ago?
Yeah, it was scheduled for 9:55.
Yeah. So this is sort of what her aesthetic is. So that's also a good thing to go on with consistency.
Oh,
Because
sorry.
go ahead.
That's my Kindle case, and I picked it on purpose because it was black and gold, like my brand.
Not this one. This one?
No.
Oh, this will be like one of the videos that
Yeah.
she's showing to do the book mail. And she's actually talking.
Oh, this is someone else.
Oh, this is someone else.
Yeah,
Okay.
my nails aren't that nice.
This is your Kindle thingy.
This is my Kindle, yes.
So she's even doing anything she shows on social media. She's still keeping with the theme. So, yeah. Here's some more character art. And what's really cool about character art is that while it is not free, you're helping support you're helping support other, indie people in the indie sphere and other, communities that also, you're letting them see a bigger variety. I have heard, but it hasn't happened for me yet either, that eventually fans are going to start making their own character art and then they'll present it to that. I actually did AI until I found some really interesting character artists. I found them all on Instagram or social media. So that's really something that's super cool about Instagram is it does introduce you, or sorry, social media does introduce you to a wide variety of people that can all help your indie authorship and help support them on their journey as well. How do you look for character art, Leena?
I look at other authors and character art that they've posted that I've liked, and then I'll reach out to those artists that I've seen other authors use.
And
'Cause
Leena is
unfortunately,
really, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say there are scam artists,
Yes.
unfortunately. So I don't. I've been scammed before by someone who messaged me offering art. So now I don't. I mean, it's sad because maybe some of them are legitimate, but I only reach out now to artists that I have seen other authors use.
I have had that same problem, so I don't. And there will be people who are just starting out. Unfortunately, that is if their walls on any social media is like 3, that unfortunately is a really good indicator that that is a scam also. So that did happen to me. Luckily, I didn't lose a lot of money, but I did lose money as well. So it does happen to everyone. The best rule of thumb, Leena, you can back me up on this also, is to go to them.
Yes.
Most people will not come to, well, I'm not going to say that. People who are legit aren't going to come to you and be like, hey, I want to do this for this fee. They usually wait for you to look for them or you to find them. And that goes with every sort of aspect, cover designers, editors, everything. But this is something that we do because we're a group. It's a collaborative post, and you can see all of these people. She tagged all of us here, and we did something very similar together. This was for Valentine's Day. This was Leena's idea. It was super cool, but it reaches a bigger audience when you collaborate with people, and there are so many opportunities to collaborate. If I didn't want to talk about my book for a little while, I have enough people asking me to collaborate on their posts and their information, so I wouldn't even have to create that content. I've had to start turning people down because I do still need to still keep talking about my book. And I have found the more I post on a single day, the lower my engagement rate is because people don't know where to talk. I see somebody asked a question. Okay, Adrian asked another question. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know earlier in the beginning you said you had a group of, similar authors. Did you just reach out, or did they reach out to you, or how did you find them and form this group of similar authors?
So it's a mix of both, in the sense that the writing group Kara and I are in together, that was when I was very new to Bookstagram, and someone just happened to ask if I wanted to join it. And I was like, sure, why not? I would love to make new friends. And we're a good mix of genres in that group. So there's, I think there's some horror, there's some thriller, some contemporary romance, some fantasy romance, and there's sports romance. There's a good mix of people in that group. But as I've been, and I'm sure Kara would say the same, as I've been more active on social media and I've befriended myself like authors in my own genre, and just, I share their posts and be like, oh, like, wow, like this happy release day to you, or wow, like this person's having a giveaway, or look, this person has street team up. So just by supporting everyone, commenting on their posts, and just generally wanting the best for them, because I feel like most indie authors are really nice. We love making friends and, finding author friends. And then, you get conversations started that way. And then by reaching out now to people specific in my genre, I made a lot more fantasy romance authors. And then I made another group of fantasy romance authors, so that when we do, there's a space for us to do collaborations together, to do giveaways together, because the thought is we all have similar sets of readers, versus, me and a sports romance author, they might not love, mysterious prophecies and, the world ending. They might just want like a lighthearted story, which is cool. So yeah, I would say both.
Into that though too, because what I started doing is I started looking for people in my genre, and I ended up finding some, and I started to engage on their posts at first, because somebody's not just going to come to your page no matter how great it is, and unfortunately this is just the way that it is, and just be like, hey, be my friend. The followers are different than engagement. But I started, like I said, I started talking to Leena, and we would go back and forth, and the more you talk to a person, the more that's showing the algorithm to push them up on your thing. So the more I would see her feeds, and mine kind of happened in the same way. I started finding myself getting in, seeing a lot of the people who are in our group now. I started seeing a lot of their posts, and I was engaging with them. Though we have questions of the day are really, really big when you're creating a caption like this. And I'm sorry, when you're creating content, you put it in your caption. So I was responding to their questions of the day. I was liking their stuff. They were coming to my page, and I actually ended up posting an introduction of myself when I started to see a little bit of traction, and that kind of shot me into a new level. That's when one of our friends, Sarah, reached out to me and she's like, I want to put you in my writers group. And I didn't even know about engagement groups at the time. And the minute that she did, my engagement rate went from like 20 people and maybe 2 comments up to 100. And it just, I had a ton of engagement, and it's sort of a slow progression, but when it starts to progress, it is like a snowball effect. So I would really suggest, again, doing research in your content, or I'm sorry, research in your genre, see who's around, see who you like. Because there's always fantasy authors that, you know, maybe don't jive with like my aesthetic and stuff like that. So not every, you know, fantasy author is going to be for me or for Leena, and I'm not going to be for every fantasy reader either. But it really, and it doesn't take a lot of research, but it really is, you'll start to see trends that are going on. And did you guys have any other questions? I'm gonna make sure that we post this, and there'll be a couple assets. Right now I have something in the folders for sort of a book launch strategy. It's not really a strategy, it's just a whole bunch of different content ideas. Like Leena said, the tropes really work well for her. And people do love tropes. It makes them understand your book like nobody's business. But there's a whole bunch of ideas in there, and you can kind of mix and match them for any kind of schedule. So what I would say is the cover reveal and the title reveal and the launch date are going to be super big ones, and then the trope reveal will probably be on the second level, unless Leena, you have a different suggestion.
No, I agree with that.
Does anybody else? And this doesn't even have to necessarily, like I said, she and I are on Instagram. Go ahead, Melissa.
I was wondering about your Etsy store.
Mhm.
How are you liking having an Etsy store and considering doing one on a different platform? But how has that been for you? What's the experience been like?
It's been really good for me, actually. I find it super easy to use. I have it linked on my Instagram. I have it linked on my website. Sometimes like when I get new merchandise, like if I got new bookmarks, like I'll make a post about it and then my street team goes and buys it. So I've been liking it. I find that people who love books, like books are their hobby, books are their passion, books like they love that kind of merchandise. Like they would like there are people on my street team who have 3 copies of my book, and I kind of want to be like, really? But I'm so glad you love me. Thank you. um, like I read digitally, but you know, she had a digital copy. She bought a copy from Amazon, and then I launched my Etsy shop afterwards. And she's like, "Well, I want a signed copy with the bookmarks." So then she just bought it again. So I find that they do like it, and and it does get good business.
I've had
Thank
several
you.
people reach out to me and they asked me, sorry, Melissa, I didn't mean to talk over you. I've had, and they're starting to ask me, again, this is through social media, when I'm going to start selling signed copies because they want that. And before I knew Leena was doing the Etsy store, that was my plan also. Um, but even just seeing her and how successful that is, and just getting the response that I'm getting from my street team and ARC or just regular readers, makes me want to do the Etsy store even more because that's a really good start. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as indie authors, as first time indie publishers in the field, the first year is probably going to be the slowest, right? And figuring out that what works best for you, I think is a really important part of that too. But yeah, people want merch. They want it. I did a signing last Saturday, and my husband is very supportive, and he's like, "Why do you have so many stickers? Why do you have bookmarks? Why do you have all this stuff?" And then he saw the readers get so excited, and they were all
Mhm.
people I knew. It wasn't like a big thing, but he's like, "Oh, they really liked that," and I'm like, "Yeah, they're there for it." So it's great.
Yeah.
Thank you both. I appreciate your answers.
Well, thank you for asking also. We have about 10 minutes. We can wrap up, or we can, if anybody wants any other questions. Lena, where can people find you if they want to look for you besides Instagram?
My website, I'm on Threads. Instagram's the best way to reach me though, probably. And like definitely like if you have any questions like after the fact or on anything as you go, don't like please just message me. I'm happy to help. Um I would say yeah, I'm on Instagram probably just too much, but that's the best way to get a hold of me.
I'll say that she did proofreading for my novel, and she is really, really good that way. We've had other people that I know that we are in a writing group. And then they've come to me and been like, "Did you use Lena yet?" And I was like, "She's proofreading my book," and they're like, "She's amazing." So also, if you need an editor, she's pretty darn good at that as well. All of her stuff will be in the next newsletter that I send out. It will be on Friday. That has the assets, that has the recording, that has the transcript, and everything from last two sessions. Thank you guys so much for coming and participating and being here. I hope it's helpful, and come see us. If you're on Instagram, come find us. We'll totally pull you into our world.
Yes, and thank you so much, Kara, for having me on. This was really nice to connect with everyone.
Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much.
Thank you guys. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye.
Bye.